We're talking some Thursday night football, but this time we're on the DraftKings Sportsbook. And here to help us with some of the best bets. Oh, this game's going to be epic. DraftKings contributors Pearce Dietrich, Reid Fowler, Matt Mesiselman. All right, guys, let's get after it. Best bets, favorite bets on the DK Sportsbook for tonight's Jacksonville and Cincinnati game. So, Jags, 0-3 ATS. Any chance they go on the road and cover the 7.5 points in Cincy, Reid?
No, they don't. Look, like Cincinnati is not the best team when it comes to like covering, especially when you take a historical point of view from it. But the Jags right now, where the key matchups are, one is going to be this defensive line for Jacksonville and offensive line for Cincinnati. And what I mean by key matchup is that these are some of the worst offensive and defensive lines in the NFL. Like the PFF grade for Jacksonville's D line is dead last.
Like, I don't really have a strong take either way. So if I had to lean, it probably is towards the Jaguars. I think this line probably should be 7, if anything, not 7.5. But I'm not going to give a bold take yet. I'll save that for some of the later questions. I just think that they have a shot. Clearly, Jacksonville has been terrible so far. The Bengals have played well. I think Cincy might just be slightly overvalued. And Trevor Lawrence was a high pick for a reason. I think at some point he gets it together. Maybe it's not tonight. Maybe it is. But I do think they have a shot to cover.
Wait, Matt, but on a short week, Trevor Lawrence has the most turnover-worthy plays in the NFL.
Yeah!
It's 7.5 points, though. That's a lot of points.
Like, yeah, for the other team.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen,
I get why.
I'm just giving him a shot.
He's a solid prospect, but like not right now. I think, like we talked about yesterday, Emerson, he's getting his licks right now, and that's good. That's good. I think he's going to be a solid quarterback for years to come, but just not tonight.
Well, okay. The loss of Bates and Higgins shouldn't be overlooked. Let's just keep that in mind, everybody. All right.
Josh Lambo.
Both teams, I know, dude. Yeah, he's not going to be kicking tonight. So if you have him on your season long, everybody, you may want to drop him. Both teams have only gone over once so far this year. I mean, the Jags, I think, are averaging. We talked about it yesterday, Reid. The Jags are averaging around 18 points a game, which matches the 18 losses in a row for this franchise, dating back to last season. Are we going over 46 points tonight, Fowler?
Yeah, so this is where Matt's take I agree with, where there's going to be a lot of points. Or a lot of points in the sense of hitting the over here. I do have the value on the over. I do think that when you have Jacksonville and their inability to keep the ball safe, right, and not turn it over, that's going to give you a lot of ability on the Cincinnati side to maybe get a defensive touchdown. I know Kenny was alluding to it earlier that he likes a Cincinnati DST. I don't mind that call at all. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are the fastest team in the NFL in pace. Cincinnati is one of the slowest, but because Jacksonville is trying to catch up, which I think is going to happen tonight, I do think this goes over. We've seen these primetime games, especially on Thursday, hit the overs quite a bit in the last few games.
Pearce, welcome back. We're talking over-under. What do you think here? The offensively challenged Jaguars going to be leaning on that passing game probably quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the under in this game. Cincinnati's got the flashy weapons, but I really like Cincinnati's defensive line, what they did last week. They only blitzed Big Ben 8 times, and they still got 4 sacks. That's well below the average of blitzes that we see from teams. And, ultimately, Joe Burrow looks good. He's had 2 really good games and 1 really bad game, but even in the 2 games that he's had, they hasn't really translated into a lot of points. And then for the Jacksonville side, they're good for 2 drives a game, so I'll take the under.
Matt, these aren't high-scoring teams, and Cincinnati's defense is playing well right now.
Yeah, I'm going to lean a little more towards Reid than Pearce, though, just because I do think this could be a high-variance game where some turnovers create points. Like, I don't think the offenses will be that good, but we could have – I mean, Joe Burrow has been mistake-prone in his career also, so it's not like he can't have some turnovers either. So it's kind of just going to depend where on the field those turnovers happen, because I think we will see a couple. But it's really just a lean towards the over. Like, I think the number around 46 is about right here, too. Like, I think odds makers have just done really well with this game, even though it is a high-variance spot. So I don't have a strong opinion here, but I do think that there's at least some chance for kind of a high-scoring game.
Well, who's getting in the end zone, Pearce? Who is someone you like their odds to score a touchdown tonight?
Reid already mentioned this. Bengals plus 2,500 to get a touchdown in this game. You've got a great pass rush. You've got a quarterback that's making a lot of mistakes. Trevor Lawrence leads the league in bad passes. He's also holding the ball too long. We saw a pick 6 last week, so we could see another one of those bad passes under duress with the Bengals pass rush on top of him. We'd also see him holding the ball too long, getting a strip for a touchdown. I love the odds of Bengals getting a touchdown in this.
All right, what about you, Matt?
So I'm giving the boring pick here because he's the largest favorite to score a touchdown of this game. But Joe Mixon minus 165, like I think that number is still too low. The Bengals have been running a ton. This is probably a game where they have a lead, even though I think the Jaguars could cover. It most likely would come from a backdoor cover anyway. But I think the Bengals will run the ball for most of the game like they've been doing in the red zone. I'm sure they will also. And I just think this number should be higher. Mixon has just been dominating in terms of workload. He's coming off not such a great game against the Steelers where they didn't need him as much. But I think Mixon at minus 165, that number should be more like minus 200. So yeah. I don't like much from this game, but I do like this as kind of a value spot.
Yeah, he's the only player or group on the DraftKings Sportsbook in this game tonight that is not giving you plus money. Reid, what about you, dude?
Yeah, how is Trevor Lawrence the same odds for first-time touchdown as a Cincinnati defense?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, like the Cincinnati first touchdown is plus 2,500. It's also that for Trevor Lawrence, but I'm going Tyler Boyd at plus 130 for an anytime touchdown. You know, without T. Higgins in the field, I know Jeff mentioned some guys at the lower end when you're looking at showdown, but Tyler Boyd should have his way tonight. He's going to be on Chris Clay. I think it's Claybrooks, and look. Claybrooks has not been great. 11 targets, 10 receptions. That's what he's given up. And he's got a passer rating when targeted 118, and he's given up 14.8 yards per catch. So I do think Tyler Boyd, like any Tyler Boyd prop that you want, the receptions, the yards, I'm all bullish on Tyler Boyd. So any prop that you want from him, including this touchdown one, I like it.
Let's go Slate-approved pick here. Give me your favorite bet tonight, Matt.
So this is a little bit of a cop-out because the bet starts tonight, but it's not exactly for this game. I like the Bengals to go over their season win total. The current number that we have now at 7.5. It's plus 110 on the over, and I think that odds makers are a little confused by the Bengals' schedule. So if you look towards the end of the season, they're going to have to play the Niners, they're going to have to play the Broncos, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Browns. But before that, they're getting the Jaguars tonight, they get the Lions, they get the Jets. So I think overall they have an average remaining schedule. They're 2-1 to start the year, so you only need to go 6-8 the rest of the way to hit this over. And I think the Bengals are roughly an average team, so it shouldn't be that hard for them to get there. I think this win total should be around 9 wins or so, and being able to get a win on the bet at 8, I like that more than anything in the game. I know we're trying to give picks for just tonight, but this one you do have to make tonight before the line changes. So, I'm going here before I go to any of the bets that are on the board for this game specifically.
Okay, Reid, any bets on the board for tonight specifically that stand out to you?
Yeah, you got to make sure you hit that before that stretch of games, though, Matt. Like, if you're like down one game or if you're tied, right? Like, you got, like that end of schedule is rough. But like I said, mentioned Tyler Boyd over 5.5 receptions at minus 110. Clay Brooks, like I laid out his stats on the defensive side, and also too, I hit this one last week with the rushing prop for the quarterbacks. Burrow's over 8.5 yards. He rushed 5 times last week against Pittsburgh. I don't know if he's going to have to, but this is like 2 attempts, and maybe he has to like get out of the pocket. So 8.5 yards at minus 120. I think the over is definitely in play.
All right, Pearce, bring us home your favorite bet tonight.
Let's get weird. I'm going to give the people a real sweat tonight. Cincinnati plus 270 to punt more than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville has punted the ball 5.3 times per game. That's the second most. But Cincinnati's not too far behind with a 4.7 punt per game rate. And just think how this plays out. I know it might sound counterintuitive, but I think that Jacksonville's going to be playing from behind. They're going to be aggressive. As we mentioned, they can be turnover prone in these games, and it means less punts. And then Cincinnati with the lead at home, conservative, probably going to punt the ball more and not push the issue. So you want a real sweat, Bengals, plus 270 to punt more.